I've been thinking a little bit more about the sharing that I did last week about identities and how the self-grasping ignorance that's obscuring our minds right now, along with its creative screenwriter, the self-centered mind, put together these constructs that we label identities and how they keep us really bound in dissatisfactoriness, pain, and suffering. So someone sent an email to us and said, well, if we don't have any identities, how do you define the self? And how do you put healthy boundaries without being rigid and things like that? So I guess I want to clarify by my own personal experience what I mean, the difference between the identities I'm talking about, the self-grasping ones, and these conventions that we have in our world. So for most of my life, I've had an identity which I did not realize until I moved here, that I was an extremely strong, energetic, healthy person with a lot of vitality and a lot of stamina, who could run circles around most people half my age. And so I continued this type of thinking about who I was, unbeknownst to me, that I had put this as an identity. So when I came to the Abbey and I became Semke, I solidified this identification even more, because here at the Abbey I have responsibility for a lot of things that require a lot of physical energy, facilitating volunteers working in the forest. And what I was doing is that I was building this identity of being this vital, enduring, persevering, healthy, go-get-'em, from dawn until dark identity, because I had a lot of attachment as far as my reputation. It drove my mind as far as how people would praise me and think well of me. But I didn't know this. You know, that's the thing about the self-centered thought, is that it constructs these identifications, but we don't realize it. So what happened is that because of this identity, it pushed Semke beyond her limits, and a few months ago, I hit the wall. So what happened is this identity crumbled. It was a total construct, and it crumbled. And because I had put so much on it as part of who I was and how I existed, I fell apart. Instead of just taking the sickness as something that happened, I got into this incredible state of fear, this incredible state of anxiety, because I thought, because Semke was this particular identity, without it, she was now worthless, she had no value, she was going to be asked to leave. All this fear and anxiety, well, if I'm not this strong, powerful, agile person, then who am I? So it's not that when this identity crumbled, when I got very sick, the identity crumbled, but Semke still exists. See, we have to be clear that the self, what we're getting ourselves into trouble about, is that we're identifying the self by these identities. They are simply dependent arisings that describe in our convention, in our society, qualities, professions, things that we do, how we feel. We, by a convention, label. So I labeled Semke onto this rather than just letting it be something that was ever-changing, moment by moment, as part of a very complex, unique sort of dependent arising that I am. I made it so solid and so concrete that when the prop got pulled out from underneath me, I felt that I lost a part of myself, when in fact I didn't. So what we're trying to sort of explore and discover is how the self-centered thought builds these mental constructs out of something that is very fluid, something that moves and changes moment by moment, that gives us a possibility to become phenomenal beings, and puts it into this squeezy little box that makes us paranoid and frightened and fearful, because we think that we're this little box rather than this beautiful, glorious, dependent arising that changes moment by moment. So we haven't lost ourselves. We've gained a much bigger sense of ourselves by disengaging and dismantling these concepts that we call identities for ourselves.